Hello everybody, this is Rudra Pradhan here and welcome you all to BMDA course. We are here to continue the component called as a descriptive analytics, and in fact this is the third lecture of this series on descriptive analytics. In the last two lectures we have already discussed about the descriptive test statistics and the association test statistics. Through descriptive statistics we can actually do, or we can take some kind of management decision, and again by using some kind of association techniques you can also solve some of the business problem and can in a position to take some kind of management decisions. But whether it is a kind of descriptive test statistics or some kind of association test statistics or something like predictive analytics or prescriptive analytics. So, we need actually something basics through which we can actually analyze all these techniques in a more attractive way. That means, what I like to say that some of the basic things we are supposed to discuss again in order to make these analytics in a kind of more attractive way. So, here two such a requirement is called as a probability and probability distribution and sampling distributions, because we are living in the kind of complex environment. All things are very dynamics, and every corners you will find there is a kind of risk, there is a lots of uncertainty. So, dealing with all risks and uncertainty, so you have to actually predict the kind of environment and then solve the problems, and you must be in a position to take some kind of management decision. So, since risks and uncertainty are each most of related to most of the problems. So, you are supposed to actually connect with the probability and probability distribution and sampling distribution. Knowing all these things are very handy or very useful for some kind of you can say a better investigation or something kind of better inference. So, that is why we start with the first the concept called as a probability and probability distributions. In fact, it is not something new, but still we are in a position to know something related to probability and how it is useful for some kind of business analytics structure. So, the learning objectives are here: understanding uncertainty and how probability concepts are used for measuring and modeling uncertainty. Then second one, knowing basic concepts of probability and the requirements of business analytics. And then again you like to know how probability rules can be applied to take some kind of managerial decision. Then understanding the concepts of random variables and discrete and continuous random variables, and to know the requirements of probability with the various distributions, that is nothing but called as probability distributions. And then we will discuss with some examples with Excel spreadsheet demo, right. So, now with this we will like to move to the concept called as probability. So, probability many different ways you can define. It is the likelihood that an outcome can occur, right. So, it is a chance, sometimes it is called as chance of occurrence or chance of belief. All these things will be represent the concept probability, and it is an experiment, and that too it is the process that results in an outcome. The outcome of an experiment is a result that we observe in usual structure. Then there will be a sample space, that is the collection of all possible outcomes of an experiment. For instance, if you toss a coin or roll a die, so you will get some kind of possible outcomes. Then an event is a collection of one more outcomes for a sample space. So, that means, so it is the sample space where all the events can be taken into considerations. Then as per the particular requirement you have to specify a particular case. Like we have discussed the game between population and samples, probability concept is also similar kind of thing. So, here we have to see the what is the possible kind of cases, then you have to choose a sample specific case, and the sample specific case out of the total possible cases will give you some kind of clarity or some kind of concept through which you can come to a conclusion, and then accordingly you have to take some kind of management decisions. So let me give more details about this particular concept. So there are historically the probability is not something new, it is a very old concept, but it is very interesting, very useful, and it is the requirement for any kind of business analytics. Any kind means it is most of the analytics tools probability is kind of well connected, is a kind of linkage through which you can have a better kind of judgment. So there are various definition here, starting with the classical definitions. So here in the classical definitions, probability can be obtained from theoretical arguments, and then we have a relative frequency definitions, and probabilities are based on empirical data. Then we have a subjective definition, probabilities are based on judgment and experience. So these are all various ways you can actually calculate the probability, to understand the probability, and then you have to use the kind of probability concept as per your particular requirement. So we whatever ways we have defined. So I will connect with some of the examples that you can actually easily understand. For instance, so here actually the classical corresponding to classical definition of probability. So suppose we roll 2 dice, right. So the probability die rolls sum to 3, right. So when we roll 2 dice simultaneously, so then you will find couple of occurrence. So the occurrence will be 1 1 1 2 1 3 1 4 1 5 1 6, then again 2 1 2 2 2 3 2 4 2 5. That means you will find plenty of such combinations. So now so the typical structure is here, that we need is so how to understand the kind of probability. Yes, we in fact we have discussed something called as frequency, then cumulative frequency in the previous units, but now this will be very useful in the in this particular case, that to understand the concept of probability. Now here actually die sum. So 2 die simultaneously you are throwing, then what is the sum we can finally obtain. So these are the possible sums when you will parallelly toss the 2 die, then you will have 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So now these are the sums we have actually. Then finally how many frequency you can obtain from this sum. So frequency 1 2 3 4 5 6 5 4 3 2 1. So this is actually some kind of structure which you have to follow here. So this by default will give you some kind of exposure about the particular case or to understand the probability concept. So now the another kind of examples here. Let us assume that there are two consumers and they consume two products, and the observation which you have here so far as a probability is concerned is they may means two products simultaneously. There is a high chance that particular guy like both, or like one dislike one, again dislike the first one and liking the second one, and there is a high chance that the guy may dislike both. So that means altogether there are 4 different possible cases. So probability of at least one dislike, probability of, so here the question is this is a specific questions which you like to address. That is what actually we need actually kind of management decision. So what is the probability of at least one dislike, so that you can apply the strategy accordingly, and you can design the problem as per your requirement. So at least one dislike means you see here at least one dislike. So here one, and here one, and here also at least one. So that means there are 3. But what is the total possible cases? So total possible cases are 4. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So obviously probability of at least one dislike product will be by default 3 by 4. So this is how the literary understanding of concept called as probability. So in order to know more about the probability, then we will move to next structure. See here. So, this is another kind of structure which is connected with frequency. So, now let us say there is a kind of computers, and computer you have just have a kind of computer systems, and you are predicting something else, and how many times you need actually the kind of maintenance. So, that is the kind of repair times. So, starting with 0 days to 21 days. So, this is how I have this is what the game, and the day wise information is available here. So, first day, so frequency of repair is 0, and second first day, second day, third day, and continue up to 21. So, now you will find the frequency of repair times. So, it will be 0 0 0 0, then 1 2 5 12 14 like this. So, now you can prepare a relative frequency, and that relative frequency by default will give you snapshot of actually the concept called as probability. So, what we is supposed to do here. So, this is actually individual frequency, you take actually total frequency here, then every individual frequency by total frequency. So, then the probability can be obtained. So, for each individual case you just divide the total frequency, then you will find. So, this series will be obtained for each individual case, then you can actually just add one by one, then you will get cumulative frequency. These are all cumulative frequency. Then ultimately if you plot all these with respect to day and the frequency curve will be coming like this. So, this is what we have already discussed in the last lecture, and that to unit 2. So, this is again same concept, but it is connecting to the concept called as probability. So, now so in order to know little bit more, so then I will give you here the kind of basic things about the probability. So, like earlier discussed the concept called correlations, which is always between -1 to +1. So, here the probability is also having basic features without any kind of understanding or any kind of issue, whatever may be the problem structure or whatever may be the problem background. So, when you are dealing with the probability, the value of the probability will be always positive, and it will be always lying between 0 to 1, and depending upon the possible outcomes. So, the sum of the probability will be exactly equal to 1. So, these are the three important features you always keep in mind when you solve any kind of problems connecting to probability, or you are using probability for any kind of experimental or empirical kind of investigation process. So, here some of the things are so what we have already mentioned here. So, this is what actually the kind of concept of probability. So, this is what actually the concept of probability. So, here this is the probability of occurrence, and this will be in between stand between 0 to 1. So, 0 means no occurrence, but 1 means it is fully predictables. Then sum of the probability will be actually exactly equal to 1. So, this is individual probability, case 1, case 2, case 3. So, number of possible cases, if we add the probability of all possible cases, then the sum will be always equal to 1. So, this is again something called as standardized structures like correlation matrix. So, now this will be very useful for any kind of investigations, and then accordingly you can actually take some kind of management decisions. Okay. So, now move to further understanding. So, whether actually means how this the value of probability will be positive, and whether this sum will be exactly equal to 1. So, we will connect with a particular example here. The same example which we have discussed earlier, then 2 die we are actually rolling, and then what is happening. So, this particular case which we have already highlighted. So, this die sum. So, now there is a high chance that it is a sum is 2 means, then there is a high chance 1 1. So, if it is a sum is 3 means, so there is a high chance that the possibility is 1 2 or 2 1. So, that means there is a 2 number of frequency. So, now if the sum is 4, then there is a high chance that So, the occurrence will be 1 3 or 3 1 or 2 2. So, that means the possible cases will be 3. So, then these are all individual frequency corresponding to the two die sum, and then the total frequency will be 36. So, now corresponding to individual frequency, if you divide the total frequency, then it will be transferred into the concept called as probability, right. So, now here you see here. So, the question is actually rolling 7 or 11 on 2 die, right, 11 7 or 11. So, 7 is here and then 11 is here, right. So, that means it is a 6 divided by the particular item 36, and then this is 2 by 36. So, now if we add up these two, then the total occurrence will be 8 by 36. Repair a computer in 7 days or less. 7 days less means up so first, second, third, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So, now accordingly, so you have the following frequency corresponding to the particular frequency, you have to actually calculate. That means, with respect to these are all relative frequency and up to 7 days, right. So, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, then corresponding the probabilities are here. So, you have to just add up all these possible cases, then you will find the total probability. So, what is the total probability when you have the kind of when you need actually some kind of managerial output to repair a computer in 7 days or less. Then this is how the structure you have to apply, then accordingly you have to interpret. That is the here 0.03 means it is actually 3%, close to 3%. So, now again, so moving towards the concept of probability, we can cite with more examples. So, now here there is the concept there is a event say A, and since total probability is equal to 1, then event occurrence and not occurrence. So, the sum will be exactly equal to 1. So, as a result, so there is a concept called as a to the power c, that is called as the complement of a, that is just the opposite sides. So, that means if the event is occurring in a particular situation, then the chance of non occurrence will be 1 minus probability of occurrence. So, that is how the structure is actually written like this. So, this is what actually a complementary of a. So, now here, so same examples. So, dice examples. So, here a is a kind of event, and that the outcome is 7 and 11, which we have already highlighted in the previous examples. So, now, so the item will be 6 by 36 and 2 by 36. By default, it will be having 8 by 36. That is the probability of a event. So, that means if you are not including a, then 1 minus remaining 1 minus this much, 1 minus this much means 8 by 36 will be the complement of a. So, as a result, so either you calculate these ones, then 1 minus this much will give you probability of a complement, or else you go through individual kind of just you remove these ones, then individually calculate for rest of the things, then automatically you will get the same value. So, since it is a kind of a standardized concept, since probability exactly equal to 1, total probability exactly equal to 1. So, obviously, if you calculate the first one, the second one will be by default obtained by deducting the first one from the sum equal to 1. So, this is how you have to actually calculate and then connect as per the particular need. So, then moving towards further discussion about the probability. So, I will connect with some of the rules behind the probability. So, there is a concept called as a mutually exclusive. So, P A or B. So, that means event A. So, that means two events going simultaneously. So, probability of A or B A or B. So, if they are mutually exclusive, then the probability of A or B equal to probability of A plus probability of B. So, that means same things here. A is the event of occurrence events of occurrence 7 and 11, okay, and B is the occurrence of 2, 3 and 12, right. So, then 7, 11 which we have already discussed earlier. So, that is nothing but 8 by 36 and the occurrence of 2, 3, 12. So, that means this is 2, 3 and 12. So, 1 by 36, 2 by 36 and 1 by 36. So, this will be coming again 4 by 36. So, probability of A or B equal to probability of A plus probability of B. So, that means technically probability of A is coming 8 by 36 and probability of B is coming 4 by 36. So, then probability of A or B will be coming 8 by 36 plus 4 by 36, that will be exactly equal to 12 by 36. So, this is another way of calculating the probability, and this may be useful for a situation, and then you can actually take a management decision accordingly. So, now okay, so this is what okay. So, this is another kind of examples, the same examples. So, here we are again reporting, it means we want to report probability of A or B when the events are not actually mutually exclusive. So, non mutually exclusive events. So, two events A and B, when they are not mutually exclusive, then the probability of A or B will be probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A and B. Okay. So, that means, so here for examples, so this A is a event which is the sum of 2, 3 and 12. So, 2, 2, 3 and 12. Then B is the event which is the occurrence of even number only, then that is nothing but actually 2, 4, 6, 8, then 12. So, these are possible case. So, now so far as first event is concerned 2, 3, 12. So, that is nothing but 1 by 36, 2 by 36, then 1 by 36. So, this is coming actually 4 by 36, which we have already discussed, right. Again, so far as B even number is concerned, then 1 by 36, then 3 by 36, 5 by 36, 5 by 36, then 1 by 36. So, this will be coming again 18 by 36. So, now P, A and B. So, that will be coming actually, so 2 by 36. So, 2 by 36. So, as a result, so P A plus P B minus P A intersect P A and B will be giving you 20 by 36. So, now compared to the previous situation, so when they are mutually exclusive, so then the probability is actually coming, 12 by 36 when they are mutually exclusive, where the third component will not be there. But when there is actually they are not mutually exclusive, then the common elements this P and B, so need to be actually subtracted. So, as a result, so it will be giving 20 by 36. So, this is actually 12 by 36 and here the result is coming 20 by 36. So, depending upon the kind of problem, so you have to actually calculate the if the two events are mutually exclusive, then the kind of prediction will be different. When they are not mutually exclusive, the kind of prediction will be different. So, that means probability will give you some kind of exposures to predict the particular business problem depending upon the problem requirement and problem structure. So, accordingly, so we can actually use probability and then predict the kind of environment. So, this is another kind of examples. So, this is a conditional probability. There is a concept called as conditional probability, and most of the fields we frequently use like operation, finance, marketing. So, I am giving here is a kind of example called as marketing example. So, the example is actually first purchase and second purchase, and that is with respect to iPod and iPhone, iMac, all these things will be there. So, we like to actually we like to check what is the probability of purchasing an iPad given already purchased an iMac. So, it is actually with these particular structures you may be in a position to calculate, right. So, this is what the first hand informations, and this is what actually called as a cross tabulations, which we have already discussed in the previous unit. And then this concept actually. So these are all called as column totals. These are all column totals with two different purchase, and then this is actually row total, and these are all row total, and by default then sum of the column total and sum of the row total will be giving you the total sample. Then obviously, so the probability of a particular item will be like this. So here probability of purchasing an iPad, given already purchased an iMac. So it is nothing but actually 2, and corresponding to this probability is 13. So that means it is 2 by 200 and 13 by 200. Then finally it will be coming actually 2 by 13. So means again this is a little bit complicated kind of examples, but it is highly required, or it is very useful some for some kind of business related problems. So now corresponding to the corresponding to this particular concept of conditional probability, so I will have I can cite here actually another examples. So here, so we have a respondents, and corresponding to respondents we are actually citing the gender and then brand preference. So then in the last lectures in unit 2 we have already discussed the concept called as cross tabulations. Now with the help of these ones, and you go to the Excel spreadsheet, then you prepare a cross tabulations, then cross tabulation finally this particular structure will be transferred into this particular structure, and by default, so this is nothing but actually called as probability structures. So now each individual item has a kind of meaningful interpretations, right? So brand 1, so far as a female is concerned, so what is the probability? So now this is the total samples, then out of which female sample is 37, male sample is 63, then brand 1 is 34, then brand 2 23, brand 3 43. So all details are there, and same informations, this is the first hand input, and through cross tabulation will transfer into this particular structure, and this will give you again better kind of structure through which you can actually project the particular problem, and then analyze the problem as per the particular need. So corresponding to this actually structure, so again moving towards the probability concept. So that means here actually in this case we are interested to know probability of preparing brand 1 given that a respondent is male. So that means actually this is the means game between actually brand 1. So this is the brand 1 and then the male. So this is what the brand 1 and male. So by default the target is here. So obviously the probability will be 25 by 63, and obviously this is nothing but 25 by 100 and divided by 63 by 100. So obviously the total probability will be 25 by 63 here. So now okay, so this is how the structure about the conditional probability. So this is the mathematical kind of structure. So obviously, so P A given B, so it's nothing but P A and B divided by P B. So that is what actually happening here. So what we have already discussed, 25 by 100 and 63 by 100. So you just go through here 25 by 100 and then 63 by 100. So then you will get finally 25 by 63, and that is what the probability is all about when you are calculating probability of event A given B. So that is nothing but actually 0.397. So this is the actually summary sheet corresponding, because the original information is here, and then this is what actually, so this is the original information, and then this is the cross tabulation. This cross tabulation will finally help you to predict the particular situation. So this is the cross tabulation results, and on the basis of cross tabulation results you are in a position to predict this particular situations with the given conditions. This is what is the beauty of conditional probability. And same again it can be used for a complex kind of environment, and these are all complex problems. For example, probability of pocket S2 SS in hand, and so probability of event A1 and event A2. So with the help of probability theorem, you can in a position to predict the particular environment with multiple kind of scenario, or multiple kind of informations. So, this is another kind of example. So, I am putting here these examples to analyze the particular task. So, obviously, here same problems. So, if two events are independent, then we have already discussed in the case of mutual exclusive and non mutual exclusive. So, here also same things. So, when two events are independent, then you will find P A intersection B will not be there. So, as a result, so probability of A given B will be actually P A. So, that is nothing but here the case. And now the second example is gender and brand preferences are independent. So, obviously, the gender and brand preference are dependent. It cannot be actually independent because it has a well connection with branding with the genders. So, obviously, means the idea is that this is what actually we need actually, and means when we talk about the use of analytics for management decision. So, now this is a excellent kind of inference which you can actually find through the use of analytics, and then you can predict the particular situation. That means, in this case the indication is that gender and brand preference should not be actually you should not actually break the link. So, there is a linkage, and the kind of prediction and the kind of marketing strategy should be used for any kind of branding. So, gender has a linkage. So, you have to take care the kind of issue when we are doing something related to brand preference. So, this is how the conditional probability will help you to calculate the particular situation and predict the environment as per your requirement. The again similar kind of probability concepts. So, here some of the rules are there. So, when again probability two event means probability case of probability case when there are two independent events and they are completely independent to each other, then the probability of A and B can be simply probability of A into probability of B. So, the cited example here. So, now the examples of here if you say same example which you have already highlighted in the previous example, dice roll, then roll a sum of 6 on first pair rolls and roll of 2, 3 or 12 in a second pair rolls. So, obviously, so two concepts are or two particular structure are completely independent. So, as a result, the final outcome will be P A into P B only. So, as a result 5 by 36 and multiplied by 4 by 36, and this will give you the probability of 0.015 for. So, it is nothing but actually 2% only. So, likewise you have a multiple kind of situations through which actually you can actually observe or you can predict the kind of requirement, and then with the help of this probability concept you can solve some of the management problems, and then you can take decisions. So, that means actually this is very useful component altogether, and it is not actually for predicting using some kind of game like tossing coin and rolling in dice etc. But the thing is that it is a very beautiful component through which actually you have to predict the business environment. And the concept of probability is starting with gambling activities, but actually in the real world or in the modern time of modern kind of environment. So, it is it is frequently used in most of the activities, so far as prediction is concerned and judgment is concerned. So, altogether my summation is that so this particular concept is high importance, and it is highly required for any kind of business environment so far as a business prediction is concerned, and that too whether with the use of any hardcore analytics tools or without any hardcore analytics tools. I mean sometimes what I like to say that sometimes without using any complex kind of business analytics tools, probability can probability itself can give you some kind of inference or some kind of output through which you can take management decision. So, in the probability case, so some of the things which you can discuss in in details, or you can connect with other kind of concepts which is called as probability distribution. So, when you are doing something doing something kind of management activities, then it is a kind of continuous process, and which we have already discussed in the case of unit 2 and unit 1 slightly, because every time we wanted to know when you have a samples and that to data for a particular variable or a particular event. So, the first hand check is actually the kind of visualizations, and then we try to extract or try to visualize how is this particular distributions, whether it, it is equally spreads, or it's a skewed distributions, or it is a kind of symmetrical distributions. So, the probability structures will give you better kind of indications so far as understanding of data is concerned and the use of the data is concerned, and then you can actually analyze this problem as per the requirement, and then you can take some kind of management decision. So, now how this probability concept can be connected with the various distributions, so that we will discuss after this break. Thank you very much. Have a nice time.